other people.
The Game of Life podcast. There'll be insights around the game of life. Philanthropy, the third sector mentor, global CIC, which commitments has been responsible for thousands of people's lives. And disadvantaged community of life from pain to purpose books. Introducing you.
Listeners, as ever, listening into this podcast, to host Louise Farr. Louise has a fascinating share with us, one that was about the power of pets. Louise, a warm welcome.
Hi, Paul.
I'd like by asking you to give us an info, but from a pet.
Okay, well, it was my brother everywhere, but he left home to join the my stepfather his father was in the army. I thought I don't want to do those two because they were both at one stage I'd crossed their path, being the character that I am. That's it, I'm going to join. So I did control, because I had this vision of coming. I didn't even know what they said. You always see this in do, but there wasn't any room. Unknown world of logistics. Not what everyone. I loved it. About 4 or 5 times, not paying for any of it. So all lovely. Stayed in some night in Norway, in places like this, and then in DC in the fall. So it's all absolutely loved it. I thought. But then you sort of grow out. And I did, in the day, I was really proud of 3 war zones, fighting bits. I just joined civilian as logistics because, and I won't be, because you tend to move every 2 now. But when I was ago, every different station or to a dog, I was always on the move. So I was sort of staying in one place, had any dogs, until I literally came. And that's when I got my dogs, actually. The most majestic, kind dogs you could absolutely adored them, and yeah, we tried, which was really nice. Like shoot, of course. So you used to be the one who said all the retrievers and the ski would just lay down in the sun, and so I in dogs because I was, and things like that. I just carried on, as I said, live Monday to Friday, blah world. I went into events logistics. The London Olympics, I was totally, so it became London Olympics. Split up with so I didn't have dogs and another lovely person, and didn't have animals because animals basically seen, but I always had this, but I just, and how.
Come in there, Lou, I do apologise, I think there's a valid point there. How was life apart from your passion for dogs? That must have been really.
It was, but I always had to be all right once I've got a job or that was going to be ours, to talk them round to it. Well, of course you can resist a puppy. That was childish sort of thing, but no, a puppy, it entered my brain. There would be emotion, kind of, sort of, because I've always loved them. Foolishly, of course I. They're beautiful, they're loyal, they love you, they make you go. So I always had that, I'll talk them round to it. And how I actually studied dogs was I was out in European Games, said to me, a dog rescue, to come and clean up the kennel, not walk the dogs because they were used to being on the street. They just needed somewhere to have shelter. About contract every Sunday, they're out and building kennels. That I had my salvation and talk to these dogs, but that never stopped. And I had even you could, it's hard to explain, but you could sit next, but 100,000, and all it takes is your shoulder or stroke them, or your arm around them, and a bond is starting to. So for the remaining, I think it was about 14 months, we went to these shelters that they would always be safe. And the contract, which I thought would be ridiculous, to say goodbye to the dogs. And they just sort of looked at us, arrived every 2 days a week. So there's 5 big adult people to these 20 dogs. I just knew I had to, when I not get involved, own just get involved with, and my true self.
So how would you explain to people who probably got that deep root empathy that you've got with how would you try and explain that said to you, well, but I don't, how of a connection with an animal? I mean, how would you?
I would just spend a day with one. I wouldn't say if you're scared of dogs, look, that's a pathetic fear, and that's your fear. If someone gave me a spider, nobody would give me a spider because I've them. But I would just say I'm with them. just being with for a walk, that whether it's your dog or somebody is, it transfers all the way to you. And the softer with yourself that you are with the dogs through your whole body to the dog. So if you're, we all get angry, walk, they know good mood. They know that they know that it's to you. And I've done, I'm sure a lot of us have done. You've gone out for a walk, you've got the lead tight. By the end of that walk, you've even let your dog go. You know, the world becomes more. You've now taken a feeling agree with what's happening to something. Just needs you. Just needs them. Connected in that 5-10, and that's what I would say. Just dog out for a walk. How it makes a difference. I've never wishy-washy, but it's not to me. I mean, I hadn't had this in years. And they said, just take a dog, calm you down, and it's. I'm chatting away to the loony mind. It's nothing big, and you've got to make sure they're okay. And you come back and you're relaxed, even if they pull you and take you away from your thoughts, and because you've now got to concentrate and tug and get them so that you're one. Does that make sense?
It makes a perfect point there that is the take rather than navel gazing, internalising something external. I think dogs and in general, massive. I don't know if it's the right term. Does create that empathy on yourself and internal. I do understand.
Also, people. I mean, with cats, that's what an animal. For me, it's for dogs. For the cat people, you know, any sort of animals make you. That's all it is.
Yeah, there's that element more caring for life that itself, but certainly well-being to whatever degree is a responsibility, isn't it? Whether it's an animal.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I say that warrior in us, that nature, that nurture, and all those. So if I was to about the generalisation or quickly to dogs, because I'm a very special in a short space of without animal dog compared to, I mean, is there a slight polarised life in that context?
I mean, a life of work for me. I would work as long as I could, and either working, then I was in the house. In between, it's work or home. All I did. I would say and I wasn't. There was no. This is the way it goes. It became a vision in my life. This is what we're going to do. And we're either in or we're out. There's no in the middle, and that's exactly how I was sexually operating.
Okay.
My gentler side, it will come out in the story. I found my gentler side. One thing I did was walking out the door. It's for quite some time. My own for and I have this big on my own of crowds as well. So, but now I've got my people because of it. I talked to a dog walker because we never know each other's names, but we pretty big joke. When you said I've got this image of my hair rounded and it's all before square and very pointed, the image I've got is more just I get love back where I conditional love back, and the thing is, it just made
Excellent. Okay, let's move over from where you've not got to do. I think that the term I used the conversation was pet.
Mm-hmm.
To what about, and you've used the term, so young lady in your life.
It's a bit. My young lady in my life. It means so we've been told. She's a dog. I could say ex because she's a dog. Well, anyway, Romanian street dog. The story is I came and lived in Peterborough because I don't come from Peterborough. We moved up from London. For business. I started when I came back from as a pet rescue. I wanted to find Peterborough and own business, so I didn't help. So I had a place just outside Peterborough, and a lady, she's a couple of years ago. I used to go there every Tuesday in 4 hours or walk for about 3 to 4 hours and come away, go back again. And that's I used to do 2 days. I'd turn up and it didn't matter. And one day I got there, oh, Lou, you're really good. I never know where she got. And I said, that'd be fine, no problems. And I'm going to come and try and chew my head off. That was uncontrollable. Be into what's known as, and it's where to be in quarantine and to be. And I went into this place, six puppies. Oh, they're really lovely. She goes, no, her name is Rada. Could you just sit with her, with the puppies? But we want her to even take treats. She won't look into the same room as you. We hope she's eating. You look at her. In fact, and I said, what do you mean? That even on her passport, it said her towel was tucked so I sat there for a creek floor, didn't come anywhere near me. Puppies thought I was the best thing since me, which to me just made her, who sat in the corner, just won't look at me. In fact, the furthest away she could get from me, the better it was. So I went to Ros and I said, look, you're going to have to tell me what this, why is she like she is? She's too young. She's, 6, 7 months old. Why is she like she is? Why is she so scared? And it turns out there's an awful story about how street dogs in Romania, Lithuania, and I've seen it in Azerbaijan, are treated. And it's because they've got an overrun population and because we in the Western world love our pets. We're a bit crazy over our dogs and our cats. Some people do dress them up. I don't. I'm not a crazy dog lady. I just love my dog. And they don't treat them very well. The dog catchers will go out. They grab hold of as many dogs as they can with catch poles. They sling the catch poles over their shoulder and walk to their vans. The vans could be, 100 meters away, or it could be 2 or 3 kilometers away. And if the dog survives hanging off the back of these catch poles, then they're just chucked into kennels and left there to die or to be euthanized because they've got this big problem. And what happened to Rada? She was caught along with her brother. She's they think there were 3 siblings: Rada, her brother, and another little girl, and her mum. Her mum and her sister, they believe, managed to get away, but Rada and her brother were caught. And so Rada and her brother was spotted by a lady who often goes out to Romania. She's a UK lady. And she spotted her brother and a few other dogs and put them into another kennel just to get them all vaccinated and to be brought over to the UK, because there's a few kennels, rescue centres that will take some of these Romanian and Eastern European street dogs into their rescue. Poor old Rada, though, they went to put her into the van to bring over to the UK, and they couldn't find her passport. So they had to leave her. So her brother went on and she was left. And what they thought was in a better kennel. So she'd been taken out of this one sort of kill kennel and put into a better kennel. After 3 months, the lady went back to the rescue place to pick up the kennels, to pick up Rada, and she wasn't there. And they had moved her to these kennels with 500 other dogs. Now we're talking about a 3 to 4 month old puppy that's now been put in with 500 dogs and expected to survive. And they literally just throw the food in. So if you don't get the food, so you can imagine. Anyway, she got over to Peterborough, and what they thought was going to be a beautiful 5, 6 month old puppy, by the time they got her here, she completely shut down. She was so nervous. She was very withdrawn. And as I said, even on her passport, it said crossbreed with no tail, because it was tucked right under her tummy. And she wouldn't look at anything. She wouldn't go anywhere near any men, any noise. That was it. You could just practically see her shaking in her shoes. She tolerated women, and children were just too loud for her. And that's what they were saying. In front of my eyes, she was just shutting down. So what I did is I went most days, and I would sit on this concrete floor, and it started to become, she started slowly coming towards me. First, it was because I would sit there literally with my legs stretched out and treats up my leg that was nearest to her, and one in my hand was my hand stretched out. And after about 2 or 3 weeks, she started to come over to me, and she took the one out of my hand first. And, you know, I just sat there and grinned. I just wanted to run around going, yes, she's done it, she's done it, she's done it. But, you know, when you get that feeling, it's a bit like trying to celebrate in a library that you just don't. You just, you know, this silent celebration's going on in front. And then she went to the bottom of my leg, and then she slowly moved up until she's practically face to face with me. And then she turned around and ran off. So I knew then we could progress more and more with her. So what we decided to do was to take her over to the garden, and that was, she had to go walk across a little lane part and into the owners of the rescue's garden, and it was so bad we had to carry her. So I started to go there quite often, practically every day, and I'd pick her up from the kennel and cross over the lane and put her in the garden, sit next to her. At first we just sat there because she didn't quite know what to expect or what this was. And then slowly we would walk around by putting a slip lead on to her. And she was absolutely terrified because it was something around her neck. So it's the catch pole thing. So we put it around her waist and we'd walk around. And this is only 15 minutes a day because she couldn't take the stress too much. And then we'd carry her, put her back in the kennels and carry her. And I did this all through October and November. And it was freezing. I mean, it was freezing. I ended up going out every single day except for Sundays. And it was absolutely freezing. And but she started to trust me. But every time I went away and I'd go back the next day, it was like I had to start all over again. She had to remember me. She had to know that she trusted me. And it was just this, it was like going back to the beginning every single time. So we would go 4 steps forward, 3 steps back, 4 steps forward, 3 steps back. So it was getting, you know, it's been really such a long time to do it. So this was through October and November. And I knew that I wanted to bring her home. I really wanted to bring her. I didn't want to keep her. I wanted to foster her. This is what I wanted to do. I just wanted to scoop her up and take her home. That's all I wanted to do. But my partner at the time didn't want a dog, didn't like dogs, wasn't interested in dogs. And the problem was our relationship was breaking down. So where I would have a couple of years ago said to her, look, I'm going to foster this dog. It's okay. I'll look after it, blah, blah. I couldn't even approach the subject until it was December the 23rd. And I went to Rada and I did the usual thing, but we spent 30 minutes in this garden. And it was absolutely brilliant. And there was a little sort of pre-Christmas party happening with all the volunteers. And I took Rada and she joined us. She literally sat there with her head on my lap if she wasn't sniffing around, and everyone kept saying, look, this is amazing. We never thought we'd get to this point. And I said, you know, yeah, I know, but yeah, it won't be long. She'll find her forever home. And at the end of my sort of volunteer shift, I picked her up and I put her in the kennel, and I had to say, I'll see you in a week, because it was Christmas and the kennel's shut down. There's no volunteers. It's just done by the lady who ran it. You know, it was only a few people that were going up there. So I knew I wouldn't see her for a week. And I went home and I was absolutely heartbroken. You can imagine this little girl who's got these massive, great big brown eyes. I say little girl, this dog, sat there with these big brown eyes. It's like a bit of a Disney thing, and just looked at me to say, I know you're not coming back. I just know you're not coming back. So I went home, didn't sleep very well on the 23rd, woke up, and I just said to my partner, look, I've got to ask, I can't do this. I cannot leave her there. She's just got to come home. I'm really sorry, but I just need to foster her. And so after a lot of talking, we agreed that I would foster her. So I phoned up the rescue place on December the 4th and said, I'm coming to get her. And they went, no, you're not. You can't. Sorry. You've got to have someone to come and check your house out, which is routine, of course. And you won't be able to take her home until the 26th. And I thought, Christmas Day? Oh my goodness, how I could get through Christmas Day? This is ridiculous. So lucky enough, a friend of mine who's also a volunteer at the rescue place came round. She lives just around the corner from me at the time. And she came around and inspected my garden and said, yeah, it's fine, of course. So 9 o'clock on Boxing Day morning, I went and got Rada to come and stay with us because I was going to be a foster parent. Well, that sort of went slightly wrong because, nearly 3 years later, she still sat next to me. Yeah, she's my dog, really. And she's been my constant companion since that day. I mean, since the day that I picked her up on December the 26th, 2015, she has been my constant companion, except for a couple of months in total when I went away with my sisters to Oz, because they wouldn't let me take her on a plane, which I thought was really mean. There you go.
Oh, dear. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think it's fair to say, Louise, is it not, that Rada's made a significant difference to your life?
Yeah, she's got me through some tough times in the last couple of years, some really tough times. And that's not to say that she sort of sat down and gave me advice, because I know she is just a dog. But yeah, she's been there by my side throughout. And I don't think I would have got to the place I am today without her.
Would it be too strong, Lou, to say that Rada's actually given you a new direction, a new purpose in life? I mean, I certainly don't want to kind of infer or put words in your mouth, but what I'm picking up here is there is a very definite change of direction.
Yeah, I mean, she has definitely. I think because I had to spend so much time sort of giving her the courage to trust me and to start to trust other humans, and also to show her that life's not scary. The big world out there is not as scary as what she thought it was or had the fear of. It actually taught me, to trust people. We all get let down one time or another, but, pick yourself up and find that person or that being to build the courage to start to trust again. And also it's the love, to learn how to love not only other people, but yourself. Because to become courageous, I think you've got to know yourself first to get over that fear, so that you trust yourself, you love yourself, and then you can get over that fear. And she's really, really taught me that. Because as I touched on earlier, I was absolutely petrified of going outside. It wasn't the big wide world. It's just that little step from the inside of your house to the outside. To me, that was a massive barrier. Once I was out and with people, I was fine. It was just that step. And I don't know what it was. It was just something in my brain that says, you can't do this. You can't do this. You can't do this. And she's taught me to say, it is scary. Believe me, there is fear there. But come on, let's do this together. And I think it's taught me, if you've got some being by your side, there's a massive amount you can achieve. And that really has changed my whole life on the way I look at myself, but also the way that I look at other people. I've got great empathy where I never had before. As I said, it's a military operation, and nobody was going to change me from that. And I didn't have much patience with people. It's not my way or the byway, but for goodness sake, just get on with it. That's really used to go through my head quite a lot. When people are going, I can't, for goodness sake, get on with it or go away. I used to be quite dismissive. Now, because what you see on the outside often isn't what's going on the inside, And because people used to look at Rada and say, she's an absolute beautiful dog, a bit of a crazy looking thing, but she's an absolute beautiful dog. But what they didn't know was what was rattling on inside of her, the fear, the tension, she was trying to build a new life for her. And that's really taught me a huge amount.
And you can only try and empathise, Lou, with the, from a pet perspective, because obviously they can't explain themselves. And I know from, the work I do with people that, to peel back those layers for them to actually verbalise and show and communicate what those underlying issues are, very, very, very difficult. So for a dog or a pet in general to be able to peel back those layers, I mean, it's truly remarkable. I think it's one of those things that you can't explain. It's a bit like love itself. It is the epitome of love. You can't explain it. It's there, and it has a very, very powerful effect. Probably the same as the wind, the rain. All the powerful elements of human nature that we as human beings, we like to categorise. We like to put them in a pigeonhole, so it's convenient for us. The reality is, that you're not going to be able to do that. Live with the consequences and the benefits of what they give. And certainly from what you've said, Lou, Rod has given you that new lease of life. And I don't think it's too strong to say that.
No, it's not. I mean, I don't think without her I would have been brave enough to walk out the door on what I thought was my life partner, because what was happening to our relationship was falling apart. But I knew I had to get out. But I didn't want to go back to being on my own, and I didn't. But I also knew it was affecting Rada, because the tension throughout the house, and they do know it. But I knew that all I had to do is click a lead on her and walk out the door and go, look, no, I can't do this anymore. I really got to just have the courage to take that step over the threshold. And my life, I need to find, and as you say, your purpose in your life. It's an ongoing thing with me. I'm getting there, but I know that I'm on the right road, and I've got my best mate next to me, full paws. She's next to me all the time, whether it's good or it's bad. We're a little team that goes off.
Excellent. So with this newfound purpose then, Lou, what does your future look like? Tell me share with us about your hopes, your dreams for the future. What does that look like?
Well, my hopes, my future, I'm growing my own sort of business. I'm hoping to help people that need just a loving hand. The way that the rescue place helped me, whether they knew it or they didn't, but I think they do because of the different volunteers that go up there. It's a forever changing sort of, that's why they're all volunteers, because it's forever changing. But you go up there and, sort of some of them rebuild their lives, some of them they help their children. You see young kids go up there in their 15s and 16s, having a teenage tantrum, and suddenly chill completely out and are at peace for maybe a few hours. And what my dream and my legacy is I'm building towards finding my place. Where it is, I don't know yet, but I am looking. It's going to be in the countryside because I'm a country girl throughout. I want to build a place where it could be a rescue place, for rescue animals, dogs, so that people, troubled children and troubled people, can come help me look after the dogs, and actually find their peace without any pressure. Take my dog for a walk, find your peace. You might think the world behind you is hurting and, is not nice, but for this week or few days or a weekend, this is your place. We've got jobs to do, but I'm going to give you somebody or I'm going to give you a being that will love you unconditionally while you take them for a walk. And that bit of unconditional love can change people completely. And that's what I want to do. I just want to, what I've been taught by Radha, I want to pass that teaching on to others.
Fantastic. And you know, sometimes, Lou, we hear we hear a story like that, and it's beyond logic, isn't it? It's beyond logic, and you hear the emotion of that, and the more importantly, the end result of, and you used for me the right word earlier on in terms of legacy. To be able to pass that on is really does epitomise the power of pets. So, is there anything else you'd like to add to that, Louise? Any message to any would-be listeners about the power of pets and, what a massively positive impact that could have on your life? If you're thinking of having a pet or not, or is there any kind of, let's use the word legacy again, in a word, or in a few words, what would be your legacy in terms of everything that you shared with us?
Well, I would say that even if you've got a dog or a cat or any animal, or you're thinking about it, and then people always say to me, "You love your dog more than," and I always look at them and I smile and I say, "Yeah, do you know, I have the honour to have unconditional love returned to me every day, every single day. They teach you love and trust and strength, and that to me is absolutely amazing. And the best thing about unconditional love is they never say, I will love you if. They just love you. And to learn how to reciprocate that back for us as humans is sometimes impossible. But they just look at a dog, look at a cat, whatever animal, and it's just unconditional. And I think us as humans have got to learn that lesson. That's one of the biggest lessons we need to learn.
On a personal level, Lou, I totally agree. And I think on that very poignant and thought-provoking note, I'd like to thank you for your time and sharing that, because I know it's been an emotional journey for you. I think that's fair to say. So thank you, Lou, for sharing that. And I'd also like to thank the listeners for listening. And I truly hope that you've got something out of Louise's journey, and particularly, and I'm sure we'll join together to wish best wishes for her and Radha. So thank you all. Until next time, take care and best wishes.
Thanks for listening to the Mastering the Game of Life podcast. Drop a line to paul@paullowhearts.com with any thoughts or questions you may have, and he'll be more than happy to respond. Alternatively, check out Paul's website at paullowhearts.com or any of his social media feeds under the same name. Remember, mastering life starts by embracing our hearts.